Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of the MotorMarvel Podcast.
Welcome guys, hope you enjoyed our last podcast with special guest Sean. We had a lot of fun doing that one.
We did. Guys, a big shout out to every single one of you who came to the Cars and Coffee event on the weekend. We really appreciate spectators and the people who brought their cars.
Yeah, fantastic event. I think we're really happy with the turnout. It was brilliant.
I can't wait for the next one. A massive shout out to Hard Hat Watches for supplying the prizes.
Yep.
Everyone loved them. And
congratulations to the winners.
A massive shout out to Exhaust Notes for obviously giving us cars to review.
Yeah, amazing.
Other than that, Nick,
let's get on to the news.
So
we've got a few exciting things to talk about today, but just going to have a quick start off with this one here. Partnership obviously been going on for a little while here with BMW and Toyota. As we know, done some partnerships before, Sal, with Supra, Z4, showing some motors, showing parts and whatnot, and obviously still doing a bit of partnership stuff here with working on the hydrogen. It looks like they've got, I think, their third generation they're talking about now with some hydrogen-powered engine, and continuing to work together with about, a release of the 2028 by looks, to have sort of something in production.
Yeah. We've spoken about this plenty of times on the podcast, and if you're new to the podcast, I'll just give you a background. I'm not the biggest fan of EVs, but...
yeah, look, I'm a little more of a fan when it comes to some EVs because I think they have their place, but, debatable.
I don't think they have a place. Anyways, we're not going to dive into that. But we've said numerous amount of times on the podcast that electric cars are not the future, but hydrogen seems promising.
Look, I think a lot of people are doing it. There's a lot of speculation.
There's a lot of speculation. Look,
people are talking. I think the biggest problem, right? A lot of people talk about how you're actually going to get the hydrogen there. A lot of people talking about containing hydrogen.
Yeah.
It leaks through a lot of surfaces, so it's hard to actually make these fuel cells.
Plus it's explosive.
How you're actually going to mainstream fuel these cars seems to be that they can make the engines function on it.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest issue seems to be the fueling of them, right?
Yeah.
So look, I think I'm pretty just excited that we've again got two big companies coming together, trying to make something happen. Let's see how it goes.
Well, BMW was originally always for hydrogen. They never really delved too much into the electric segment, and we could see that when that fad was going on and everyone was like, by 2030 we're all going to be electric. BMW never said that. Mercedes said that, Volvo said that, a number of companies came out and said that, and now they're backtracking. Now what I see in the future is I don't see a future that's all electric, nor do I see a future that's all hydrogen.
No,
I see a very mixed
but I think that's the perfect
balance.
Type of market we want, right? Is you want to have the ability that people that are zipping around town, that electric works for, they've got a charging point, it's easily accessible, they're not doing a lot of Ks. Electric vehicles, I think, personally, are going to have their perfect little segment. Then you're going to have... then you're going to have your old enthusiasts still, and probably people who are still like your ICE engines and stuff, and they're going to still want to, keep those. And for however long they stay around, I think people are going to try and keep them as long as they can.
Yeah.
And hydrogen seems to be that little bit in between. We're still trying to keep some sort of combustion motor stuff whilst still trying to make it sustainable. Right?
Yeah.
So if we can have a little bit of a mixed world where we've got a little bit of everything ticking these different boxes, I think that'd be good.
Well, since we're on this topic about Toyota and BMW, everyone knows that the Toyota Supra is based on the Z4 platform.
Yep.
Right? Toyota's come out and said that even if the Z4 gets discontinued, because it will. Unfortunately, BMW, I don't think BMW is going to continue it.
Yeah.
There's nothing yet to said, but I don't think they will. Toyota said that even if it does get discontinued, they will continue building the Supra, which is really cool because what that makes me feel like is that Toyota's actually going, you know what, we're going to stick to the fan base, and we're going to just keep making cars for the enthusiasts.
And look, I think the Supra's been a very successful car.
It actually has. It's a phenomenal car.
Yeah.
We've got friends who own them, and we think they're great cars. I've got nothing to say wrong about them.
No. Yeah. So let's hope they continue.
So this partnership is promising, and having one that's very reliable and the other one that's not unreliable but just expensive.
That's it.
It's a good partnership.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so this is pretty exciting. I've been a big fan of this Mustang from the get-go.
Yep.
It's supposed to go toe-to-toe with the GT3 RS.
Yeah, a competitor's GT3, right? I mean, there's what other car out there would you consider a
GT3 competitor?
Yeah, a GT3 direct competitor.
The last you would have said would probably be the Ferrari 458 Pista.
Yep.
That was. You'd say the STO.
A specifically track-focused car. So,
Hurricane.
Yeah.
But the Americans are jumping on board. And we were talking about that last podcast with the ZR1.
Yep.
Right? before the podcast, before Sean, was speaking about how the ZR1, how the Americans are now no longer thinking about just straight line performance. They're starting to actually think about track focused muscle cars.
I don't think they've forgotten about being track focused, right? They've got a lot of track stuff, but actually bringing these high performance, and I guess, look, I wouldn't say they're, supercars, but I feel like they're trying...
supercar power.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to build, I think, supercar competitors, and I guess we'll soon see if this is competitive in that market, but it's... I think the sort of price tag and the car with what it's equipped with should be pretty competitive.
So this is called the Mustang GTD. It's a track-focused Mustang. It has 815 horsepower, and it's light as hell.
Yep. I think I was seeing the wheels are some magnesium-built, lightweight.
The aero's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's over $500,000.
Probably by the time we get one, yes.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah. The price tag's stupid. Like it is. I think that was $500,000 American.
No,
I don't think it's Australian either.
No, that's a lot of money.
But the car itself, if we go into detail, it is absolutely it doesn't look like a Mustang. It's like a reworked.
There you go. 300,000 US. So by the time we're probably looking at $500,000 for in Australia.
Yeah, and it's just nuts. Like, the suspension worked. Everything that's done to the car is... What do I do here?
Yeah, click there.
Yeah, is track focused.
Yeah.
So you got wishbone suspension. Like, you got stuff that you see in Formula 1 cars. Like, things that you don't see in a Mustang. This would never exist in a pre-existing... Mustangs, just to give you a background information, the Mustang never really had independent rear suspension back in the day. Until recently. And they used to have drum brakes in the rear.
Yeah.
Like...
So we've gone a long way.
It's come a long way. Mustang, like the Americans are starting to realise now that there is a market out there for these high performance muscle cars to be track focused.
Yep.
And to be fair, I'm really, really keen to see what this does around the Nürburgring.
Look, I'm pretty excited. I mean, if this is a car, look, I don't know if you gave me the option of a GT3 RS or a Mustang GTD, whether I'd pick the Mustang over the GT3.
I know that,
but you also look, if you consider, we are saying, right, $300,000 price tag, say it's $500, $550 or something dollars. You're still comparing that to the new GT3 RS that you're looking at $750,000, $800,000, right?
More like $1 million. Some of it's stupid.
It's
dumb.
If you're looking now, there's probably $300,000 more for a GT3 RS. So you might actually consider for a couple of $100,000 less if you're in that price range.
Yeah.
If this thing's a competitor.
Well, you said to me previously, you made a very good point about the Corvette. The Corvette would have been very enticing in Australia if it stuck to its original pricing, which was about $180,000 Australian.
Oh, you'd sell...
You sell thousands of them, right? Because it's attractive. Because it's like $180,000 you get a supercar.
Yeah.
But their new price tag is just ridiculous. Yeah. Like you can't justify any of that.
Yeah. Look, I think you'll get some people, but
it's a bit stupid. Like so. Yeah. If you are from America, when we got your Corvettes here, they were supposed to be priced at about $180,000, and now they're up towards of $300 plus. And it's just like comparing that with other, like you were saying the other day, you'd buy a Porsche, like you would, like you now. There's no reason why you wouldn't, but like before, it was enticing.
You'd go, it's a bit cheaper, and it's got all the performance, it's got everything else. Yeah, and I think you're always talking a Porsche versus a Ford. What are you going to prefer to drive?
Or Corvette,
Or Corvette.
Yeah. But like Mustangs are still very affordable in Australia.
Yes.
And that's why they sell like hotcakes. Yep. Because let's be honest, it's mad. You get a V8 for under $100,000.
Yep.
Pretty awesome.
Agreed.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we are very excited to competitor. So shouldn't have that up there. We are very excited to see what this does around the Nürburgring.
Yep.
Because I'm actually thinking this might be the Porsche. I'm thinking it might.
Let's soon find out.
Let's wait till that happens, and when it does, we will obviously put it on the podcast.
Yep. All right, Sal. So talking about Porsches being competitor to your GTDs, we're just speaking about. So we've got here the new 992.2 of the GT3 and the Touring, and there's been a few changes here. I wouldn't say there's a lot, but obviously one of the biggest changes we see here is a large price increase of about $53,000 as a starting price, which is a lot. Same power, not really too many more changes, but just
the looks. Like Nick said, it's not much different. Like the back end is the most noticeable with that continuous light bar and that rear diffuser. That's a lot different.
Yep.
The wing's not as prominent.
I would agree, yeah.
Like, it's not as big. They've changed it a bit. I think they've moved that up a bit. Wheels are obviously a bit different, and it's not that drastically different.
No, but the price tag is drastically different. And the other change we're seeing too, where we talked about this in a previous podcast, most of us were expecting that they were going to discontinue the manual for the Point 2.
They didn't.
They've kept it. So all I can presume from that is they've actually probably maybe surpassed or were quite happy with the Point 1 sales in manual.
Yeah.
And went, actually, we've sold a fair few manuals. This is a worthwhile thing to keep on doing.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've made the decision to keep the Point 2s with the manual as well, which is pretty exciting. So, and they've done some touring changes.
So the Touring has back seats.
Yeah.
So now the Touring has back seats. GT3 doesn't, but the Touring does have back seats.
Yep.
Which, you know what? But there's no, honestly, have you been in the back seat of a 911?
A long time ago.
I have.
From memory,
it's not built for adults.
There's not a lot to it.
No, chop your legs off and hope that you actually... No, seriously, I've sat in a Turbo S, and honestly, it's stupid.
Look, do you think...
for kids, makes sense.
I was going to say, I feel like maybe only kids.
Oh, you can't fit that on there
up to 12-year-old kind of deal, putting it back. But look, functionally, that's still...
I know, it's still a selling... It's still a selling point, like, it's still understandable, but...
It's going to attract some people.
Yeah, but it's by no means comfortable at all.
Yeah.
But the Touring, not much changes there. It still looks... To be fair, I'd prefer the Touring over the GT3. I think it's gorgeous.
I think it's a great looking car.
Yeah, it's just very simple, very under the radar, and it just looks... It looks gorgeous, especially in that green. I love British racing green.
Love the green.
Yeah, the green's great. Yeah. But so guys, changes like we just said. There's not much on visual.
Yeah.
Price tag's gone up significantly, and it's just a shame. It's just like it's becoming stupid now.
Look, and I think that's just show the times at the moment, mate. Everything's costing more money. Everything's harder to make, get, do. Look, obviously, I think Porsche's gone. It's costing us more money to build these cars than maybe we initially were, and the price tag's gone up because realistically, they haven't given you $53,000 worth more of car.
No, because the previous generation is exactly
very similar.
Like you just said, the power's not changed.
Yeah.
So,
what are you paying for?
And like you just said off the podcast, they haven't even put the wise. Like,
you haven't even put. By the time you had Wysack pack,
and all that, it's going to be stupid,
expensive.
But on to the next. Okay, look, I know we're on a hydrogen bandwagon, but we need to touch subjects about this because this has been, going around the internet.
Look at that, though.
Yeah, it looks insane. Like this, I've seen this pop up millions of times on Instagram, and it's insane. It's a Alpine, I don't know, Alpine Glow HY6 V6 hydrogen. So the backstory of this is a hydrogen V6. It's a 3.5 litre twin turbo V6 that makes 740 horsepower, which is insane. It revs to 9,000 RPMs. So I'm very curious. I know it's a prototype and it does run, but I'm very curious. I think it's going to go around Goodwood. I think it's already gone around Goodwood.
Yeah. Okay.
But it looks absolutely
ridiculous.
Insane.
Yeah. I mean, it looks. Is it center seated? Like, is it a? Is it like a bloody?
Well, there's no interior shots.
It looks like a Le Mans car.
Yeah, it's stupid. And, I'm not going to ruin that because we're going to go on talking about how every car's starting to look, but we're not going to delve on that because that's going to be the next topic and I want to wait for that to talk to everyone about. But it is insane, and it's good to see that, like, not just BMW and Toyota are doing hydrogen, but everyone's jumping on this bandwagon now, and you can see it across the board of all these car manufacturers.
I think everyone's keen to see, is this going to be something we can make work?
Yeah, and the good thing is, it means the internal combustion motor still exists.
Yeah.
But the noise is a lot different. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because you are not working off...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, cool. Think it's mad.
Keep an eye out for it.
Keep an eye out. Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think this thing looks cool, or do you think it just looks absolutely ridiculous?
Or do you think it's going to come to be, or just concept?
So if you were tuning into the original first podcast, I did talk about...
We did have a little chat about it.
The LFA successor. And I did see teaser videos of it going around the track. And back then, it wasn't even known that it was a successor. There was a track day, and this Lexus came out with camouflage, and everyone's like, "What the hell is that?
What is this?"
And it sounded like, when I heard it, it sounded like a twin turbo V8. So they're suggesting that it might be a 5 litre V8, 5.2 litre V8 from the RCF GT3. But I honestly think it's not going to be naturally aspirated. I think it'll be twin turbocharged or hybridized.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, look, that's pretty much what majority of these manufacturers are doing these days.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot more sense. So, I don't think they're going to stick NA
No way.
It doesn't.
No.
Well, they probably won't get the horsepower numbers out of it.
Do you only
500 horsepower in an LFA? Yeah. Everyone's going to go, and we need 1,000.
unless they do naturally aspirated like Bugatti did, and they use the hybrid system.
Yeah, okay.
Unless look, I hope.
Look, NA would be great.
Yes. So I hope Lexus does do NA, so they can do justice for the original LFA, and they obviously change the 5.2 litre so it can rev out to 10,000. If they did something like that, pair that with a hybrid system, and it sounds insane, then hat off to them. They're doing the right thing by the original LFA. But what I can see with the trend of the motoring world, it's going to be a 5.2 litre twin turbo V8 with a hybrid system. It'll rev max 8,000 RPM, and it'll sound a bit grumbly and it won't sound as high
pitched rev.
Which is a shame, because the original LFA was such a beautiful car. Sounded insane.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That they do that and try to stick to those roots of the original LFA. Yeah. But look, very early days with this, guys. It's interesting to see. I think let's keep an eye on it and see what they end up doing.
Price tag, nothing of yet. But you could expect something high of nearly $1 million. So this would be a hypercar. It's not a supercar.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, if you bought the original LFA, the most hilarious thing about that car was when they were first sold, they went through a period where people didn't want to buy them because they're like, oh, it's a Lexus.
Yeah, I remember.
Why am I buying a Lexus supercar? This is stupid.
Yeah.
And now you can't buy one for less than $1 million.
They've become an iconic car.
They're iconic. Nothing sounds like an LFA.
Correct.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It has a very unique and distinctive sound, and it sounds absolutely glorious.
Phenomenal.
So I am hoping that they do a naturally aspirated version of this paired with a hybrid system. I don't want a twin turbocharged version, but
keep an eye on it, see what they do.
Yeah.
So as Sal was saying, and moving on to his probably favourite car manufacturer, I think he's a little biased, but look.
I told you I have to. I can't not.
Look,
if I don't like Ferrari, someone knocks on your door and takes you away.
Yeah. It's an Italian thing, right? You got to like Ferraris, but look. I enjoy Ferraris, but Sal's definitely more of a Ferrari enthusiast than myself. But look, moving on to, again, talked about this a little bit on some other ones, but look at these things. Like, this here, the F80, what do you reckon, mate?
See, this is what I was saying previously about the Alpino, right? Is that car manufacturers are now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we're starting to care so much about aerodynamics, so much about how fast we can go around tracks and how much we can go in a straight line. We're starting to ignore the characteristics of a car, something that what it embodies, your vision, the passion, the sculpturing of, like, you look at the LaFerrari, it was a gorgeous hypercar.
Yep.
I personally think, look, I'm not trying to say, but not even just that.
I think everyone can agree.
The LaFerrari was a gorgeous hypercar. And that era when the LaFerrari came out, 458, all that, they were all stunning. The F12, like, they were gorgeous Ferraris, right? But even not just from Ferrari, McLaren, right? And even Porsche, the 918.
Well, look,
right?
we've seen with even a couple of cars, look, if you compare, like, the McLarens to what they are now. When you talk even the Senna, we're talking the W1. Look at how, I guess, aggressive the lines are, aggressive the air is, the wings, everything there. Even we talked the new GT3 RS when we say that thing.
This is a cup car.
It's a cup car, but for the road.
It's just dumb.
You look at this again, the aero on them.
The new F80 looks like a bloody Le Mans car. That looks like a Le Mans car. It doesn't look like a Ferrari. It just looks like, let's just make a Ferrari Le Mans car for the road. And look, I'm not against it because I get what you're trying to do. It's the rat race. You're trying to keep up. You're trying to be the fastest, be the best.
Look, and that's what we talk about again in some of our other podcasts. Everything's got to have 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
If you don't talk 1,000 plus horsepower, you go, so nowadays the competition out there is looking at silly high power numbers on engines. They're looking at crazy aerodynamics, and to get that you need big wings, you need big diffusers and all this stuff. It makes these cars look very impressive.
But we've even said it before, having that much power on the road, it's so unmanageable. Like, you can't manage it. Like, and sometimes it's not enjoyable. Because it's just too much. It's a way too much. I would honestly, for the viewers and for everyone to know this, I'd rather a Porsche, a 911, right? Old school 911, with max 500 horsepower. Max.
Yep.
Manual gearbox, perfect, done. Why do you need more power? It's just stupid because you can't use it all. And even when you're on the track, it's too much.
Well, look, on a daily basis, right, you're going to go from one set of lights to the other very quick.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
A car with less horsepower, it's easy to manage.
Yeah.
You can understand it. It's not going to kill you.
Yeah, but look, I think it's like you're saying, it's a bit of this rat race, right? If you don't have it now, people go, well, why would we buy your car with 800 horsepower when we can get, this car for 1200 horsepower? I guess it's.
But I think also design language is more now centered around aero, and it's less about what you envision your motions. Like, I honestly think cars are more than just machines. A lot of people don't understand this, but if you're a motor enthusiast, a car is more than a machine. It's what you embody, and this is why a lot of us modify our cars because it's our personality
coming out in the style
of the car, and that's why we style our cars according to our personality, right? And a lot of high-end designers for these manufacturers used to do that back in the day, and you saw that with the Ferrari 458, you saw that with the original Lamborghini Murcielago, you saw that with the Audi R8, you saw that with a lot of car manufacturers took time and passion to make a car really resemble what they envision. And now it's just like, let's just put in a wind tunnel, make it as aerodynamic as possible. Who cares what it looks like?
Look, I think there's still care factor in the looks. There has to be, right? Because if these cars are coming out ugly, but I think you are right, there's more of a shift that before it was very much like the design was probably rated a lot higher.
100%.
Whereas now the weighting is a little less on beautiful looks and more performance, and how's this thing going to handle, and how's it going to be able to put that power down, and how is it actually going to be able to be the car it wants to be, instead of just, we need to make this car perfectly beautiful, if that makes sense. Design's still important, but I agree with you. I think it's dropped down a little bit on the priority list.
We've definitely seen that with Ferrari. The last Ferraris they've made in the last couple of months, years.
This is coming from you, right?
This is coming from me.
Ferrari lover.
They've really just gone, let's make them just aerodynamic, and they don't look as gorgeous as they used to be. And there's one car manufacturer still making absolutely drop-dead gorgeous cars, and they have for centuries. Yeah. And that's Aston.
Yeah.
Aston's never made
a bad-looking car.
A hideous car. Like, they just make gorgeous cars. Because Aston don't care about being the fastest around the track. Aston don't care about being fastest in a straight line.
An actual interesting fact, I don't know if Sean mentioned this in his post, but I was chatting to him the other day, after the podcast. Aston, I think they're about to delve into another category of motorsport, but are in every single category of motorsport currently.
Actually, that's a good point. They actually are.
Yeah.
They actually are. That's a very good point. They actually are.
Yeah. And I was like, when I think Aston, I don't necessarily think...
No, you don't.
Fully motorsport bred, that's their thing.
Because it's not, they're touring cars.
Right. But they are in, everything.
That's actually a very, very valid point.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. But, talking about this, but just finishing off, is that I just feel like cars are just becoming more of a let's be the quickest than let's be the most head-turning, gorgeous thing at a Cars and Coffee event.
Let's maintain looks, but focus on performance and aero.
Yeah, which is a shame, but
I personally like it. Coming from a track-based
enthusiast. I'm about the looks. I'm about like a car looking gorgeous, take it on the weekend. And the turn back. You always want the turn back. When you turn around, you look at your car and you're like, that's my car.
Yeah, that's true.
But, not saying it's ugly, but I'm just saying I would much prefer the LaFerrari over the F80. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
Alright, so it seems like that BMW has actually jumped on the bandwagon of making track-focused, building a production car mainly just for the track. So there's an option for the track-focused version.
Look, I think it's a bit like,
with the cup cars with Porsche.
Correct. So Porsche's done the Club Sport versions, like the GT4 and whatnot.
Which aren't road legal, just to let you guys know. They're just for the track.
This is going to be the same, right? So this is based on the G87 M2.
Correct.
But they're pretty much making it a Club Sport version.
Yeah.
So entry-level racing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be probably roll cage, whatnot, and not street registerable, purely for entry-level motorsport. And so... interesting to see what it comes out cost-wise. I think I saw here there's a US 65 grand or so. So what are you probably looking at here? Maybe 130? In the early hundreds, 120, 130 maybe.
That means as much as a normal M2 then.
Yeah, because you actually probably get a lot less, right? Because
true, and you can't road register it.
You can't road register it. They're going to take out a lot of the interior probably. Yeah. There's going to less comfort. They're probably going to take out a whole bunch of the niceties that the road version has. So realistically, it's probably going to be a somewhat well-priced, entry-level motorsport car to go to the track in. So, for any enthusiasts that are wanting a track-focused car, I mean, this thing's got a phenomenal engine, right? We're talking the S58, which is phenomenal, excellent engine. It's going to be...
You know what it's like. You've had one.
Yeah, I have an M2 GT7 myself. I think this car is actually going to be an actual hoot on the track. It would be very, very fast.
Yeah. So, this is interesting, and I think it puts BMW in the realm now that they're becoming more and more track-focused. They're more and more focusing on that, and we can see that with a lot of their cars.
Yeah, and look, they've always been very much for the driver, performance cars, but doing stuff like this for me is exciting. You know, this is a pure, well, I wouldn't say purebred, but it is a car they're building and selling as a track car. You know,
which is a good thing because the data they get from this was obviously going to go on to the next M2.
Yep.
So this is going to help build a more capable M2. So this is actually very, very interesting because they'll use all this data when they actually build this, test it, drive it, going, hey, we've got to do this and this for the next one. You know, so this is really, really, really promising.
Exciting. Yeah, I love when manufacturers do stuff like this because it's showing still they're building cars for enthusiasts, they're building cars for people who are interested in this sort of stuff. And I think BMW's, I'm actually surprised they haven't had more cars like this.
Do you know what's the sad thing since you said that? Is you remember Mercedes used to be the same with the Black Series?
Yep.
And then it just went...
Gone.
Look,
I think if anything, Mercedes kind of gone a little bit the other way.
Yeah.
They've kind of dumbed down some of their cars. They've made them more for the everyday driver.
How good the Black Series were?
Yeah, I mean,
they were insane.
Cool
they had some seriously cool Black Series.
Yeah.
Like you had the C63 Black Series, you had the CLK Black Series. That was like Jeremy Clarkson had one of those. Yep. That was insane. Yep. You had the AMG GT, the GT3.
Yes.
They had that.
Yep.
They had all these versions for track focused, and they had it all in each range. Yep. It wasn't just for the top tier; it was in every range, right? Now it's just...
No, I think all they're doing nowadays for that, they've got the new AMG GTR or something. I think they've released. I think that's about the only car.
And the AMG one, which you. Completely unaffordable.
Right, and so I think really the AMG GTR one is pretty much the only what you classify as a obtainable
but super
track performance
where
car.
BMW is trying to do it in every single range.
Look, if I go out on the track with some of the guys I'm out with, we've got your Porsches, your Ferraris, your Lambos, everything. Can't say I've seen a
GTR.
Well, I can't say I've seen a Mercedes-Benz. Really?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
They're just not really out there. I see M2s, M3s, M4s, whatnot, but I can't remember the last time I'd go out there and say I've seen look at that track Mercedes. They're not really there.
They're not there. So, this is promising, so...
Yeah, let's keep an eye out. So, Sal, I heard you had the new SQ7 this week, mate. How'd you go with it? What do you think?
So, Nick, since you said that, guys, I had the SQ7, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, you were saying some pretty good things about it.
I'm not the biggest Audi fan, nor is Nick. Like, not the biggest.
I had a few Audis over the years. Yeah. So look, I like them, but I think if I had the choice, usually your BMW, Mercedes, personally. But you were really impressed with this. Yeah,
so I'm not the biggest fan. So the only Audi that I really, really love is the RS6.
Yeah.
But now it's the SQ7.
Okay.
No, saying they're the two Audis that I like.
Okay.
I don't like any other Audis, it's those two. Originally it was just the RS6.
Yep.
I really am head over heels for this SQ7 because I feel like it fits in the market. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of high performance SUVs. I think they're stupid. I think they're dumb.
You and I've had chats about this before, and you struggle to see why we're spending $300-400 grand on an SUV. Why would I not go and spend that on what you consider a much cooler car?
Yeah, cool. Well, I just think they're a bit stupid, and I think there's no point of them. Especially the fact that they can't go off road, because that's the whole point why you buy a 4x4 or 4-wheel drive in that matter.
Yeah, but look, I think what you're missing, right, is these are for basically the soccer mums, what you'd call, and you've got the husbands who want to take the kids out on the weekend and go for a drive. They've already got their Ferrari. They've already got their high-performance car.
But like I said in my review, and like I got to the conclusion, the Lamborghini Urus changed the market and made it more stupid. And then it got even more stupid. And what happened is you went from building high-performance SUVs that were still family practical. They had big door bins. They had 7 seats. They still could tow. They still could do all these things that a family SUV could do, but they were still fun to take around. Only like a windy road. We've gone from that to something so stupid now that we've got 4 drives that don't have 7 seats. They're only a 5-seater, and in some cases only a 4. Right?
Yeah, is it the Porsche?
Yeah, the Cayman, right?
Yeah.
Cayenne, not Cayman. Cayenne. Then you've got the Urus, which is they've made a high performance version now. Like that's track focus. Come on, it's dumb. Like it's getting stupid to the point where it's like you've gone from trying to have the best of both worlds, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
because
I think there's definitely
like
a
for
market
example
for that.
It's like dad and mum want a car where the kids aren't there. They can be sporty in it, and it's still got power. But then when the kids need to be in it, it's got all the stuff that the kids can use, right? Plus it can tow. Plus it can have like a big boot. We've gone from that to making a legitimate jacked up sedan.
High performance
jacked up sedan. And it's stupid, right? Yeah. Where this Audi has surprised me because it's got ridiculous towing capacity.
Man, look at the 0 to 100.
Yeah, 4.1 seconds. It's got a 3.5 ton towing capacity, right? Which is insane. It's got 7 seats.
Yeah.
And the 7th row, the last row, right, the 3rd row, is pretty good, pretty decent.
It's a pretty big car though,
It's a big car. It's got good door pins, and it's got the 4-litre twin-turbo V8, which is proven and tested to be Audi's best V8 that they have.
Yep.
And it's reliable. So the previous generation had a tri-turbo V8 diesel, right? So this has got the petrol. Yes, it's not as fuel efficient, but it's a lot smoother and it delivers the power a bit better than the diesel. Yep. The gearbox is an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's got the quattro all-wheel drive system in it, right? So it's awesome. It's also got rear-wheel steering, which makes it feel like,
Okay.
So the biggest thing on this, which surprised me the most, compared to all the other SUVs out there, is in tight spaces or at high speeds, it feels like an RS3 at high speeds. It feels nimble. It feels small.
Do you think?
What do you think? Nuts.
Why do you think? What's doing that? You think it's the rear wheel?
Rear wheel steering. So at high speeds, the rear wheels turn at the same as the front for more traction, and then at low speeds, it turns in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, to try and
maneuver. Honestly, I was in tight spaces, and I felt like, what the hell? This shouldn't be able to move like this, and it does, and I can't complain about it. And usually, I was saying this off camera to Nick, is that usually when I get cars, I do 3 things I hate, and I do it on our TikTok page, right?
Yep.
And usually there's way more, right? There's this huge list. With this, there was only 3.
Yeah.
There was literally only 3.
Couldn't find any more.
I couldn't find any more.
Well, that's a pretty impressive review from you, mate. So.
Yeah. And look, yes, the price tag is a bit much. So this fully equipped, this one here that I had all the options on it. So it came to about $209,000 before on-road cost. However, I don't see it being, even though it's that price, like you might think to yourself, that's so much money, but you get a lot.
I was going to say,
you get a lot of car.
It's a pretty well-equipped 7-seater with everything.
High quality interior.
Yeah. High performance,
right?
Practical.
Sound system insane. The tweeters jump out of the dash. You got the tweeters that just rise out of the dash and then go back in, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You've got you got the new laser lights from Audi, so it does a little dance when you turn the car on.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just I can't complain about it. I honestly think if you're looking for a 7-seat SUV for the family and you want a high performance car and budget's not your issue, you don't care about spending, right? Buy this. I wouldn't suggest. Why would you go buy? I'm sorry for everyone else out there. Why would you buy a Urus? Why would you buy a Cayenne? Why would you buy all these other cars?
Yeah. Well, look, this is cheaper, more well equipped.
It's got a tested engine that works. That doesn't break.
Yep.
And that engine, as you all know, is in all the other Volkswagen Group cars.
Yep.
So so you're paying $500,000 more. Like you're paying $500,000 up for a Urus that's got the same engine.
Yeah.
Same with the Bentley Bentayga.
Yeah. It's all
same
with
the Cayenne.
Right?
It's the same V8. So why wouldn't you just buy an SQ7?
Yeah.
I can't understand that.
Yeah.
Fair
enough.
So I really did appreciate that. So guys, like I said, if you're looking for something,
check out Sal's review on it if you want to know a bit more about it. But
which will come out later this week. So just stay tuned because that review will come out, and then the written review will be on exhaust notes.
Beautiful. Keep an eye out, guys.
Other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on another episode of the MotorMarvel Podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Soon.
Oh, and don't forget, like and subscribe.
That's the one.
Catch you then.
Thanks, guys.